I wonder if AD didn't get moved. But if he did, what would we be talking about for most of these 4 hours?
Anthony Davis.
Yes.
Anthony
it didn't
Davis
happen,
being
but
moved.
like stuff like that was happening all week. Anyway, the trade deadline came and went 3 p.m. yesterday. 11 players were traded back to a team that they had previously played with.
Hello, Gary Payton II.
Yep. Even
Back to the Warriors. Should have re-signed him right then.
D'Angelo Russell, who they used the second overall pick on. Like the Lakers went all and moved so many pieces to get Anthony Davis, right? And now are reacquiring some of the pieces that moved in all of that. And looks like they got better to me, the Lakers, for sure.
Yeah, they got a little bit better.
Yeah, a lot better.
They're a little bit better, man. They still gonna be what, the 6, 7, 8?
As opposed to the play-in, though. They may have been headed for the play-in.
Oh.
I mean, they could still be a play-in.
Yeah, but not if you're 6.
Well, our 6s are the high, though, Max.
Yeah.
You know, that's high. That's ambitious.
Yes.
So, you know.
I know we'll get into winners and losers of the trade deadline, but, one of the things that really stood out to me yesterday was 44 second-rounders were traded for. 44. Just yesterday, second-round picks got dealt. Like, you had Jay Crowder go for 5 second-rounders. You had Sadiq Bey go for 5 second-rounders. Like, look at you.
But what does that say,
Bey.
though,
Who the
Jay?
hell?
5 seconds. But let me ask you
What does that say, though, Jay? Like,
Well, it's one of these things, Key, where you feel like I don't think teams know what to do with because they're not sure about what the value is going to have. But here are some guys that were second-rounders in the draft. Nikola Jokic was a second-rounder. Chris Middleton was a second-rounder. Draymond Green, Manu Ginobili, Gilbert Arenas, Marc Gasol, Jalen Brunson, who just got paid $100+ million for the New York Knicks. You can find those.
So
values.
there's real value.
There is if you found the right spot, but it's pretty much going to be used for other picks down the line.
Hey, do you think Giannis is on the brink? Because Kareem, I saw on social media, Kareem was talking about, man, I feel Giannis makes me feel like I'm overcoached because it was like, don't ever try to take the ball up the floor off, don't grab the rebound and go. And I watch Giannis do it, and, he's giving Giannis his props. But, like, with all the hype about what's going on and with all the hype around the Celtics this year because they've been playing so well, and Tatum and Brown, man, Giannis, when he has his crew healthy, still going to be the best player on the floor maybe every night, right? Especially if he has a crew with him. They get Jay Crowder for those second-rounders. You were just talking about how many teams could use Jay Crowder yesterday, Jay. Does Crowder on the Bucks make them now the favorites in your estimate, in estimation in the East?
I still think the Celtics are going to be the favorite, but that's going to be a dogfight between those two teams. Like, I think those two teams are the best two teams in the Eastern Conference. I have the Philadelphia 76ers on the outside looking in from those two teams. But when the Bucks won it a couple of years ago, who was the difference maker on that team? P.J. Tucker. P.J. Tucker's no longer there. Right? He's in Philly. Jay Crowder is that same type of role guy who can make threes and also takes the best defensive assignment and also hasn't played this season. So he's going to be healthier. He's going to be fresher. Once he gets his sea legs back together, they're going to have a chance to be one of the most complete teams in the NBA.
I got to tell you, I think I like the Bucks now off that move. I think that's
in the East or just in general?
No, in the East, I'm talking about, I have to think about in general, but in the East, I think I like I think when you have evenly matched teams, and with this move, they're kind of evenly matched. If the Bucks are healthy, I like the team with the best player. I think Giannis is better than Tatum or Brown.
Well, different better.
Yes,
one
different.
Guy's a big, another, so it's different. It'll be interesting because the Bucks' problem is health. Can Drew Holiday stay healthy? Can Middleton stay healthy? That's their biggest issue, right? I mean, if they stay healthy, then I think that, like, losing P.J. Tucker, which was a veteran, like one of those nasty, in-your-face, hustle and bustle type guys.
Great locker room guy.
Great locker. May not fill it up, but then they get Jay Crowder now. That's the same kind of, like Jay said, same kind of player. And let's just see how he fits in that role now with Milwaukee. Will he be the same type of guy that Tucker was?
Remember when John Morant was talking about they're the best in the West and it's easy? Like, remember, like, oh, yeah, everybody kept, whoa, okay, Western Conference. Like, Memphis didn't really make any moves, and everybody kind of jumped, right? And think about Golden State for a second. I'm just going to say this. So Steph is out right now. When Steph comes back, one of the difference makers on that team was Gary Payton II with the kind of pressure he always applied on the ball defensively. And there was a lot of that identity from the guard perspective, defensive perspective that Golden State does not have this year. They did not get with Dante DiVincenzo, right? So now you add him back to the table, and they traded the second pick in the draft. James Wiseman is on the Detroit Pistons.
For the Warriors, that pick was a bust. I'm not saying James Wiseman, we'll see what happens. I know you guys don't like the word bust, but you spend the second pick on the draft, and this is what happens when you're hoping
I'm not going to say it's a bust.
But you're
I'm not going to say it's a bust.
You draft the guy hoping to transition without missing a beat, stay great, and then also, but it didn't happen.
But it's hard when you're the second pick in the draft, going to a championship contender team where you need to play right now.
Yeah,
like,
you ain't got no margin for
error.
Look what he gets
no
traded for.
room for him.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you get a chance, typically your second pick in the draft, you're going to a bad team. You're going to play 30,
there you go, Jay. You go to
tonight, you get a chance to work through all that stuff.
You gonna walk
you're not
right
under
in.
A microscope.
When they drafted him,
you gonna walk right in.
Agreed.
No, but you gonna walk right in. When you a top lottery pick like that, you gonna walk right in and play and get the minutes, and it's just what it is. But you're the loaded team. How many teams that win championships get the second pick in the draft?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
He spent more time playing in the G League than he did actually on the Warriors.
But he wasn't showing people enough as he was doing that.
He can't fit in those rotations, man. Those schemes are challenging. Like this game, how
even
the Warriors
in the G League. In other words, at some point, given this much time in the league or having been drafted already, you need to show people enough to make even another team be like, yes, I will give you a lot for that because that can be really good. So far, that pick did not work out the way the Warriors wanted.
But when they trade,
but Detroit,
I'm not saying he's a bust. For them, the pick was a bust.
But when Detroit trades for a guy like that, they're not even looking at his pro stuff. They're looking at what he did prior to that because that's really all the data that they have. They fall in love. They've been in love with him for a couple years.
I don't know what the Chicago Bulls are doing. I really don't. Lonzo Ball isn't expected to come back and play anytime soon. Okay, Alex Caruso.
Going to be right?
I was about to say, how long has Zoe been out?
That's a great question. It seems like he's been out since he signed with the Bulls.
Man, I think he's such a good underrated player when he's healthy.
Loved him, but
winning player when he's healthy.
Man. Like I see him, I think Brandon Roy a little bit now with the knees. It's really concerning. And Alex Caruso, you can get a first-round pick for Alex Caruso, but there was no movement. You were talking here things about.
So you can parlay Alex Caruso into a one.
Yes,
the dude
Key.
from the G League.
Yeah, spare part, nice little defender type guy.
I love Alex
Yeah, no
Caruso.
question. Lakers fans love him.
Plus, he's that guy. You know, he falls. He's like a Joe Burrow. He falls in line.
Well,
you know,
yeah, Key, he'll get you one. It's like, well, I laugh because people are like, oh yeah, well, KD got traded for 4 firsts. I'm like, actually, KD got traded for 6 firsts because you would have got 2 firsts from Mikal Bridges. Like, you can get a first for Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso could be a part of a
I believe you can. It's just when you hear it, it's like a 1 for Alex Caruso. You know, because you know his story coming back from going to the G League, 2-way contract back and forward, then going to the Lakers, obviously doing his deal, parlaying that into success, and then going to Chicago. And now you're like, well, you can get a 1 for it.
I like Alex Caruso. I'll give you a top 29 protected one. I got to protect a lot of slots if it's a first-round pick. And you got I like Caruso.
Conversations between the Knicks and Zach LaVine. You heard conversations with the Lakers potentially and Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan and Vucevic. Vucevic is going to be an unrestricted free agent. He wants to sign back with the Bulls. Now you're wondering if the Bulls are going to get Russell Westbrook after he gets bought out by the Utah Jazz if they agree on the buyout. That's where the Bulls are going.
Jay,
that's what we're doing.
I was going to ask you is how long, because obviously nothing happened yesterday, how long before you buy him out? Like, how long does it take?
He just needs to come to an agreement with Danny Ainge. I mean, on whether he wants
to. So
it
might take a day, it might take a week, it might take 2 days.
It might take
There's no rush.
Yeah, there's no rush. It might take a couple days.
Bobby Marks was making the case. I mean, listen, everyone hears the same stuff and everything, but Bobby Marks, it was Bobby Marks yesterday, right, Key, who talked about Westbrook to the Chicago. It does make some sense, Jay, in the sense that if there is, as Bobby said, a malaise there, and you need a dude to kind of energize things for 30 games.
I mean, I'll take a swing at it. I just don't see that fixing anything long term.
Yeah, but if I'm Westbrook,
but that doesn't fix anything
if I'm Westbrook anyway, I'm not going to Chicago. I'm trying to go somewhere. I got to get a ring, Max.
Yeah, if you're Westbrook,
I get it, and I know we had this conversation yesterday about Brook. Go somewhere where you can be a veteran leader, but you also got a chance to win.
Yeah, they need a punch. Someone who needs a punch off the bench.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, heat it up.
Because money, that's not, you're not chasing money, clearly. Let's chase the ring now.
But, Key, the only thing about Russ being a punch off the bench is he has to look at those starting five and think that, like, he's not better than them or understand or just accept that role, which I'm not sure Russ is going to do.
But if I'm bringing you into a championship team.
Yeah, what are championship teams, though, Key?
But you know what I would say?
Okay, championship teams to me are.
They're not going to, those teams aren't going to, there's not going to be a fit for Russ in those championship
Like a championship team to me would be, can he do something culturally with Miami? Can he, the Clippers, can he help that situation in them needing a point guard? Can he do that?
Clippers make some sense.
But y'all, the Clippers had the same issue with John Wall, though. It's the same thing. The Clippers need like a floor general.
Yeah.
And Keith, what do we talk about every time we saw Russ play? Man, he be moving 1,000 miles per hour all the time. Like Russ isn't saying,
let's
calm it down, let's get a possession here. He's not thinking through the game. He's more of a react.
You know, if
he played receiver, he'd be fired.
Man,
what I would say to Russell Westbrook is the cautionary tale for Westbrook is Carmelo Anthony, who hit a dry spot in his career because he was slow to accept a changing role. And I feel like if you go back, and part of the ego is the reason you become a great player, right? But if you go back and Carmelo would have negotiated that part of his career better in his own mind, like gotten out ahead of that, Jay, then he wouldn't have hit that spot, right? He could have transitioned to a great second unit player. And Westbrook, to me, he's probably already been there for a minute.
So speaking of, we talk about him being on Miami, Key, like I have Miami as a loser in this. So I don't know what Miami's doing. Like Miami essentially had shipped out Dwayne Dedmon in a second-round pick for cash, right? But they're one of those teams that you feel like they've been to the NBA Finals, right? Eastern Conference Finals, but it just feels like they're stuck with this Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo, where there's nothing that can get them to the next level as it relates to where Philly, Milwaukee, and Boston are. So maybe that could be a fit for Russ. Another team I had they're not losers. I'm just confused to what the moves are. I thought they were going to be the biggest sellers, and they end up being a buyer. The Toronto Raptors. They're going to sell OG Anunoby. Nope, nothing happened. No first-round picks. They're going to sell Fred VanVleet. Nope, no first-round picks. Like, what are you doing? Nobody. Scotty Barnes they're holding on to. Pascal Siakam they're holding on to. They bring in Jakob Poeltl. I know that they needed a center, right? But he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Both Fred VanVleet and you think about I'm drawing a blank on his name right now. And Gary Trent Jr. They're going to opt out. They're going to be unrestricted free agents. You're going to have to pay them.
Question.
And Jakob Poeltl at the same time.
Question, Jay, about that. No one is infallible, right? Like you can criticize anyone. I don't care how great they are and what their track record is. But there are some people infallible, meaning they don't make mistakes.
Yeah. SAT word.
No, he said it so fast.
The point is that there are some guys though where their track record tells you they might be up to, like when people say, "Hey Max, what do you think the Giants should do?"
Jury, yes.
I'm like, you know what? They know better.
That's why I said I'm confused.
Masai Ujiri.
I said confused.
Confused as opposed to like, oh, what are they doing? It's like more like, hey, what is he up to? Right?
Hey,
he's got to have a plan.
Let me ask you this though, real quick. Can Russ help Dallas in the second unit with a guy like Jason Kidd?
That's
especially when you, let's say for instance, you need to rest up Luka, you need to rest up Kyrie, 6, 7, 8, 10 minutes, whatever the number is, and now you got Westbrook being the floor general. Because you got two guys, it's like you got
everybody on that team can shoot the rock.
Yeah, like Westbrook,
everybody
they're starting
on that
over
team
you.
can shoot the rock.
And when he looks at them, he's going.
Call, Key. I didn't think about that.
When he looks at them, Jay, to your point, he's going, okay, they're starting over me right now.
The one thing I can say about Brody is he always brings the intensity on the court. Whether his game suits the style in which is conducive to teams winning is another question. But I wasn't in that locker room. But that's concerning for me that a player would be labeled from a source from our own Dave McMenamin.
No, he not. A source told him this.
That's what I just said.
But I'm saying
a source.
I don't want to pin it on McMenamin because he's reporting what a source
told him. Yeah, a source told.
Yeah, that's what you said. You said a source.
Okay.
Yeah. You just had to get the name right. I
sometimes like repeating what you say. And
you
it's
do
like
all
it's
the
my
time.
idea.
Yes,
go ahead.
Sure. That somebody would call that Russ would be labeled a vampire, man. That's a harsh critique, Key.
But you're gonna always look, man. When you get players that one would deem volatile, in aggressive, or especially earlier in their careers, and you have a dust-up or fallout or whatever the case, that's going to carry you no matter what the case may be. The moment that you sneeze, everybody, see, he's a problem. That's just the way it is. I mean, when you look at it, he has been on a number of teams, but is it due to his style of play or his style of the way he conducts himself within the locker room? Because everything that I know from that locker room in L.A. is there wasn't that big of a deal, other than the other day when he got into it with the coach, with Ham, because of differences on how he was being spoke to and being approached. So that's you get that when you're dealing with a grown man that makes the type of money that he makes. He doesn't want to hear all of that. He don't want to hear you chewing off his earlobes. That's just the reality of it.
I got to say, I want to say something about Westbrook. I think about this sometimes. Like, we all know people in our lives, right, who are good at doing hard things, but it doesn't seem like it's hard for them. Like, everyone has something that's hard for them to do. For you, it might be something different than for me, for the next guy, right? Westbrook is very good at playing hard all the time. And that's something that I don't know if anyone's as good as playing as hard as him all the time. And I don't want to diminish that. That's an amazing thing. It's a quality most of us need. But it doesn't appear to me that that's the hard thing for him, Jay. The hard thing for him is changing in order to best suit the team sometimes, right? Like, I know people who are very good at being productive, let's say writing. They write and write and write, and they can finish stuff and complete stuff that other people they talk about it, they never do it. But then the quality of it, the hard thing for them is sitting down and holding their own feet to the fire in terms of rigor of editing and making sure that it's really top quality, right? Because that's the hard thing for them. That's the thing so Westbrook is great at doing a hard thing for most other people, but he's not so great at doing the thing that's hard for him. And that's affected his career, I think.
So think about the hard thing is that now Russ is no longer the guy. You're asking Russ on a championship team to be the second or third, probably more realistically, the third guy. The third guy. So when you start thinking about championship contention on those teams personnel-wise, as a player gets older in his career, typically what you happen is a player loses a little bit of their athletic ability, Key, and they start refining other skill sets, right? Like shooting or passing. So then you could be Carmelo Anthony, great spot-up shooter, right? So he can stay on the floor. It might be a defensive liability, but elite shooter, which is why teams like LeBron and company, let's give that a try because it helps with spacing. You can't do that with Russ, which means in critical game situations, he can't be on the floor if he's not the primary ball handler, which at this stage of his career, he's not going to be the guy anymore. So it makes it tough for him to accept a second
unit. He's going to run a second unit, so he's not going to be on the floor to start or finish the game, but he can get minutes in between being productive if he accepts that role.
But he's still, he's 34 years old, and he still has elite athletic ability. He's still blown by people. He can still attack at the rim.
But he accepted the role this year with the Lakers. He accepted that role. It was a little... a little rubber band there, rubber band, and then they had to tie it in a knot, and he eventually accepted the role. They moved on from him for a number of reasons because salary cap, this, that, and the other, and he had value to get picks back, to get players back that could help them expand the floor for LeBron and AD or whatever it is that they're looking to do. So he has value. He needs to find a team, though, a championship contending team that needs that type of guy. So as I went through the NBA list in my brain, I stopped in Dallas.
That's a good idea.
And I said, okay, Luka plays a lot of minutes. You push some of those minutes back from Luka. Take a little bit of minutes maybe from Kyrie to fourth quarter type stuff. When you need them to come back in, you move Russ back on the bench, and you allow him to understand that. And I think Jason Kidd, out of everybody in the coaching circuit, can get him played the point guard position, both from California. They same conference. I would think that Jason Kidd could get to him to let him understand. Even when Jason, if you remember, Max and Jay, at the end of his career, when he went back to Dallas, he always was a star. He had to surrender some of that star power to win his championship.
You stagger his minutes with Luka, and you let him play with Kyrie. Kyrie showed you he could play off the ball. He did it with James Harden. He's done it with LeBron James. I mean, that's how you do it. And, by the way, he's going to be cheap. Like, that's the biggest thing, guys. He was owed $47 million this year. So now in the buyout market, he gets bought out. He's affordable.
Free, basically.
He's affordable.
And by the way,
Free? $5 million ain't free?
Right, well, come on, NBA. But I'll tell you what. Also, the worry. Oh, he's a vampire. Whatever. What effect is he going to have? He might have a good effect on Kyrie Irving in this sense. Sometimes Kyrie is not available, right? Russell Westbrook. Let's be honest. Kyrie misses a ton of games for whatever reason.
Man, he missed them in Brooklyn. Max, stop.
Yes, but he did miss a ton of time. Russell Westbrook could be a very good influence in that respect for Kyrie. My point is, it might have the opposite effect of the knee-jerk reaction. Might be, how's that going to work? That maybe turns out they may be or more than the sum of its parts.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.